Welcome to this beginner core workout. I'm going to take you through some very easy exercises to help start to strengthen your core. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do each exercise once so that you have a simple routine that doesn't take up much time, that you can start implementing immediately. But as you start to build your core, you could easily go through this routine a second or even third time. So we're going to come down onto the floor, and we're going to start with an easy exercise called a toe touch. And so you're going to come lying down. We're going to do this 6 to 8 times. So what you're going to do is you're going to lie down on the mat, and you're going to notice if you close your eyes, and I'm going to ask you to close your eyes a lot today because I really want you to tune into your core. If you close your eyes, your spine is in what we call a neutral position, and you probably have a slight arch in your back. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get you to use your core muscles to push your lower back into the mat. And what's happening is we're going into a little bit of a pelvic tilt, and just relax again. So use your core. Think of how you can use your core to push your lower back into the mat. And as you do that, what you're going to notice is that the top of your hip bones comes much closer to the base of your rib cage. And relax. And we're going to do that one more time. So you're going to take your lower back, you're going to push it down into the mat using your core, and notice how your hip bones come closer to the bottom of your rib cage. And if you touch your belly right now, you will notice that your core muscles have engaged. And you might notice up near your rib cage and your diaphragm, as well as a little bit lower down. And relax. So really important to, just start by before we kind of jump into the routine, it's important to just kind of wake up those core muscles. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make that a little bit more challenging. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push, watch me first, and then you can try it. So I'm going to push down into the mat, engage my core, and then making sure that my lower back doesn't move, I'm going to try and lift one leg off the ground, and I'm going to put it back down, and then I'm going to relax. Okay, we're going to do that on the other side. So I'm going to use my core, push my lower back into the mat without letting my lower back come off the floor. I'm going to lift the other leg up, lower it down, and then relax. We're going to do that 2 more times this way. Push your lower back into the mat, lift one leg up without letting your lower back move at all, lower back down, and relax. Push your lower back into the mat, don't let it come off as you lift your leg up, lower it down with slow control, and relax. Now hopefully you felt your core working there. Now you can keep doing that one, okay, if that one feels challenging enough. If that feels somewhat easy, we're going to try one step a little bit further. But I'm going to use my breath. And the reason I'm going to use my breath is because I can use my breath to brace my core and make it work even harder. And I want you to think of a snake. Okay, so my teeth are together, my tongue is against my teeth, and I'm breathing out. So again, you can watch me do it first. So I'm going to lower my back into the mat, and now I'm going to use that snake breath, and I'm going to bring both legs up while I try to maintain my lower back onto the floor. And it looks like this. And relax. So both legs come up, both legs go down. We'll do that 2 more times. Push your lower back into the mat. And relax. Oh, we've got a little guest. Houston, you need to go lay down, please. Lower back into the mat. Lift one leg up. And relax. Good. Nice. Houston, over there. Go. All right. Okay, so from there, we're going to do something called a glute bridge. So that worked sort of the posterior part of our core. Now we're going to work, the anterior. Now we're going to work on the posterior, because it's really important for you to understand that when it comes to your core, it's not all about your six-pack abs. Your core refers to everything in the front, everything on the side, and everything in the back. And it's sort of like from your rib cage to the bottom of your bum. So glute bridge is really good for working our posterior chain. So both our glutes and our lower back. So you're going to lie down on your back. And I want you to place your thumb on the bottom part of your rib cage and your index or your second finger on your the top part of your hip bone. And what we're going to do is we're going to be lifting our glutes off the floor, but I don't want any movement. I don't want any extension or any flexion. So that distance between your rib cage and your hip bones should stay the same. So I'm going to brace my core slightly, and to do that, what I'm doing is I'm just pulling my belly button in towards my spine and trying to, like, imagine if someone were to punch you in the stomach and you'd have to kind of like brace for it. That's what I want you to do. And we're going to lift up without letting that distance between the rib cage and the hips change. And we're going to lower back down. And we're going to come up. And when you're at the top, I want you to squeeze your glutes. And then I want you to come back down. And when I say squeeze glutes, let's come up. I want you to imagine like you're trying to pick a penny up with your butt cheeks. Okay, lower back down. Don't let any movement happen between the rib cage and the hips. And lower back down. Good job. Come all the way up. Squeeze those glutes at the top. Try to come as high as you can. And lower back down. You might start to feel a little bit of a burn in your bum here. Come all the way up. Squeeze, 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 squeeze those glutes. And when you come back down, this time I just want you to hover off the floor. You're not actually going to relax. And we're going to come right back up, and we're going to squeeze, 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 squeeze those glutes. And come back down. And you should be starting to feel a little bit of a burning sensation in your bum. That's totally normal. Come up, come up, come up, and squeeze, 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 squeeze. And lower back down. We're going to do it 2 more times. Come all the way up and squeeze the glutes, squeeze, squeeze. And lower back down. And then one more time, come all the way up and squeeze. And come back down. Nice work. All right. So next up, you're going to roll over onto your side so that you're facing me. And you're going to place your hand underneath your head. Actually, nope, we're not doing that one yet. We're going to come up into onto your elbow. So I want you to make sure that your shoulder is directly on top of your elbow, and I don't want you to let yourself sink down like this. So you're going to use your back muscles and your shoulder muscles to extend through the neck. So this is bad, this is good, okay? My legs are one on top of the other, my knees are bent, and all we're going to do is we're going to try and lift our lower hip off the floor, and that's going to engage the obliques on the side closest to the mat. Okay, so we're just going to come up like this and lower back down. Up and lower back down. Okay, so it's just called a hip raise, an oblique hip raise. Now you can do this with your legs straight, but to start off, I just want you to get used to doing it from your knees. Now again, make sure that you're not collapsing here. Really push down, make sure that you're extending through your neck, and make sure that you're using your back and your shoulder muscles to keep that extension. And you may start to feel some burning sensation in your shoulders and your back because they're working pretty hard. So come up and lower back down, and do that one more time. Come up and lower back down. Now from here, you're gonna come down onto the mat, and you're gonna just hold your head with your hand. You're going to bring your 2 legs forward slightly, okay? So I want you to create like a 90-degree angle. And we're going to work the glutes again, but we're going to work sort of like the smaller muscle in the glute. So it's really important to make sure that your hips are stacked. So if you imagine sort of like one hip bone is stacked right on top of the other. And again here, you're going to brace your core. So you're going to pull that core in towards your belly button as if someone was about to punch you. You're going to kind of brace it. And without letting your feet separate, you're going to slightly lift your leg off the floor and come back down. And I want you to think about how you can use your glute to do this. What I don't want you to do is open up, right? There's no movement in your torso whatsoever. Keep your hips stacked. So you might want to place one hand right on your top hip bone and kind of squeeze it to make sure it's not moving at all. And we're just going to lift up and come back down. Lift up and come back down. You can see it's a pretty small movement. And again, I want you here to bring your attention to your glutes and think about how can you use your bum in order to lift your knee off the floor. And again, you should be starting to feel this in your bum right now. You should start to feel that little bit of a burning sensation. It's not much of a movement. This is called a clamshell, okay? And you should be feeling that burn in your bum. Let's just do one more. Bring it up and lower it down. Perfect. Okay, we're gonna go over to the other side and we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. So starting with our side raise, so once again, making sure that your elbow is directly underneath your shoulder and making sure that you're not collapsing down, that you're using the muscles in your shoulder and your back to keep that nice distance through your neck, nice elongated neck, okay? Hand on the hip, and we're just gonna lift up and come back down. Up and come back down. So this time we're working the obliques on this side of the body, okay? So try and imagine that you're trying to push up through here as high as you can, okay? And you should feel those muscles working. Make sure that you're still using your shoulder and your back muscles and that there's still a nice elongated neck there. Good. We're gonna do 5 more like this. Feel free to add that little bit of a breath. I breathe out as I come up. I'm still pulling my belly button in towards my spine here to make sure that I'm bracing in all areas of my core. And I'm gonna do one more, just one more. Come up and relax back down. All right, coming down so that you're cradling your head once again. Bring your knees forward so you have that 90-degree angle and making sure that your hips are stacked, right? One hip bone right over the other hip bone. Place your hand on your hip bone to make sure it doesn't move. Pull your belly button in towards your spine to brace your core. And we're gonna go into those clamshells. So again here, make sure that your feet are not separating. Make sure that your hips are not moving and direct your attention to your bum. How can you use your bum to lift your knee up? And when you start to notice a little bit of resistance, like it's harder to lift, that's when I really want you to really focus on your bum and use that muscle to push up as much as you can and relax down. And by now, again, your bum should be burning. That's kind of what we're going for here. Good. And let's do about 4 more. Two more. And last one, it's nice and slow. I'm not rushing through this. And relax. Good job. Awesome. Okay, we're gonna do 3 more exercises. So the next one we're gonna do is a plank. Okay, so pretty classic core exercise. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna guide you through how to do a plank properly. So we're gonna hold our plank. We're gonna do 3 planks, 10 seconds each. And in those 10 seconds, I'm just going to direct your attention to different parts of your body to help you get into a really good plank. We're gonna hold for 10, we're gonna take a break. We're gonna hold for 10, we're gonna take a break. As you get better at this, you can start to hold that plank for a longer period of time, okay? So, we're gonna come onto our hands and knees and we're gonna drop down onto our elbows. Now from here, much like in our side plank, I want you to make sure that your elbow is directly underneath your shoulder, and you can lace your fingers together if you want to. And I want you to make sure right now that you're not collapsing down, you are pushing, sort of like imagine like you're trying to push your back away from the mat, and that's gonna get you to engage your shoulder and your back muscles so that you're in a nice solid position and you're not down here, okay? Because we are using our shoulders and our upper back quite a lot here. Now from here, we're gonna take one step back onto our toes and then another step back, and you can even go a little bit wider in your stance. Now, from here, a couple of things that I want you to pay attention to. Number one, I want you to try and tuck your tailbone slightly under towards the mat, and you'll feel your core start to shake a bit more. I want you to make sure that your hips aren't here and that your hips aren't low down here. I want you to try and imagine creating a nice straight line, and I want you to push the back of your knees up towards the floor so that you engage your quads. And let's hold for 3, 2, 1, and relax. And just go into a quick child's pose, take a little break. So there's a lot of different muscles that are actually working when we're doing plank. In this one, I'm going to get you to focus on sort of like the 3 main things that I want you to remember as you're going into plank. So 1, stability through the shoulders. 2, a slight tilt of the pelvic area, like tucking that tailbone to engage the core. And 3, pushing the back of your kneecaps up towards the ceiling to engage your quads. So let's do that again. So coming down onto your elbows. Elbows are directly underneath your shoulders. We're going to bring one leg back, the other leg back. You can go into a slightly wider stance. Tuck your tailbone just slightly, feel your core engage. Now push your kneecaps up towards the ceiling and hold. Make sure that your shoulders and your back are working and you're not slumping. Make sure that you're in that nice straight line, bum is not up or down. We're going to hold. Make sure that tailbone is still slightly tucked. You might feel a little bit of a shake going on here. And relax down, good job. Back into child's pose, take a little break. So you should, even as an experienced exerciser, I don't know what the word would be there, even if I were to give this to some of my more more advanced clients, when you're engaging the right muscles, even a 10-second plank should feel challenging, okay? All right, so one more time, down onto the elbows. Elbows directly underneath the shoulders. We're going to take one step back, make sure that shoulders and back are engaged. Legs go back, a little bit wider stance. Okay, so tuck your tailbone, push your kneecaps up towards the floor. So right now your shoulders are working, your upper back is working, your quads are working. You should feel that core. Do that little bit of a tuck as well. Again, one more time, focus on the tuck. Focus on trying to get that tailbone down towards the mat. Breathe. 4, 3, 2, and relax. Good job. Nice work. All right, take a little bit of a stretch. All right, we're going to do 2 more exercises. The next one is an anti-flexion extension, okay? And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to use our core to avoid movement in the spine again, much like we did in the first exercise. And this one is called a bird dog, and we're going to do a beginner version. And again, it's going to look easy, but if you're doing this right, you're going to be using your core, like you're really going to be building stability in your core. So we're going to come down onto our hands and knees, okay? And we're going to find that neutral position, okay? So whatever feels comfortable. So neutral again, slight arch in the back. From here, what we're going to do is we're going to pull our belly button in towards our spine. And what I'm going to do, watch me in the first one, is I'm going to reach forward with my left hand and reach back with my right foot and use my core to avoid any kind of extension flexion and any kind of movement in my hips. And so it requires a lot of core stability. And I'm going to use my breathing technique again. So I'm going to take a deep breath in. Deep breath in. Okay, super simple, but again, it's teaching you how to engage your core and how to use your core to stabilize your trunk. So do that with me, okay? So we're in that neutral position, pull the belly button in. As you reach, you're going to use that snake breath to kind of brace your core a little bit more. So deep breath in. Deep breath in. Deep breath in. Deep breath in. And relax. Now a more advanced version would be that you lift your arm and your leg completely up, but I want you to start with that basic version because I really want you to learn how to turn your core on and off using your breath, using your brain to just tell your core to engage, and that's going to be a really great way of doing it. Okay, the last exercise we're going to do is going to work our lower back. We're going to do back extensions. So you're going to come down, whoops, we're going to turn that off. We're going to come down onto our mat, and you're going to place your hands in front of you, but I don't want you to use them as much as possible, okay? Because I want you to use your lower back, but you might find at the beginning that it's a little bit challenging. So you can use your hands if you want to, and what you're going to do is you're going to lift your chest off the floor, and we're going to hold for 10 seconds, the same as we did in our plank. And I want you to notice how your lower back is helping you out here. So try not to use your hands as much as possible, and try to focus on breathing. And relax down. And if that feels too easy, try taking your arms away. Try placing them down to the side and just come up slightly. Push your shoulder blades down your back. Try not to use your glutes here or your hamstrings to come up. Try to really focus your attention on using your lower back. A few more seconds. And relax down. And you should feel that all the way down your spine. You should feel those muscles working hard. And we're going to do it one more time. Come up. Come up, stay high. 3, 2, 1, and lower down. And come back into a quick child's pose. And relax. So again, once you get used to doing this one time through, this is something that you can start doing a few times, right? You could do it 2 times or 3 times through, and you know, once you get familiar and you don't need my instruction anymore, just jot down the exercises so that you can do it for yourself and start adding this to you could do it after your walk, you could do it before bed as part of a nice sleep hygiene ritual.